I'm taking you into where the speakers are at this morning. You can hear Kristen Hawkins on one side.
We're in this together.
Here we go.
Crisis with non-violent resources and post-Roe.
Can I get another round of applause for Millie?
Program. The pro-life generation is here today and support.
This party is just getting started because our Supreme Court is ours. And so I'm here to ask you a very important question. Whose court is it? Whose court? Whose court? Whose court? Whose court? Majority.
There is nothing more clear than that. At 15 weeks, it is a lie. It is a baby. I have sworn an obligation to protect that. It is not right to take that, and I hope our Supreme Court follows the science, follows the technology, and follows the laws of the land and the laws of God, and they understand that at 15 weeks, it is a lie, not someone's choice to take. With that, I thank Attorney General Lynn Fitch, who is my friend, my entire Mississippi legislature, our governor, and everyone else involved, that Lynn Fitch is the right face and the right voice at the right time to overturn Roe v. Wade. Thank you, and God bless you all.
So much. We pass these critical bills.
All right.
Not allow any obstacles.
We're welcoming someone up next who brought in hundreds, thousands, who's trained so many. If you're with Students for Life, let me hear you.
Gotta get rid of it.
Please welcome Kristen Hawkins, President of Students for Life of America.
Must have the freedom to make their own decisions. We will give this fight everything we have.
Hello.
That
I am Kristen Hawkins, and I'm proud to say I'm the President of Students for Life of America.
Or as we a mother and a child, abortion is violence.
Say it with
Roe
me.
itself is not just bad law, it's not just bad science. Roe is cruel to women and children and men of all culture. It is good for men to be good to women. It is good for women to be able to rely on men.
All of us,
we have different gifts and complement one another. The regime of Roe versus Wade that was recklessly imposed by this court on the women and men of the United States in your half century created a culture that seems to prefer abortion, the most intimate violence there is. This case today, Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health, is about human rights. This case today is about the dignity of women who are supporting their neighbors saving lives. This case is about declaring that women deserve better than the misery and brutality of abortion. It is only euphemisms that keep us from realizing the grave evil that is Roe versus Wade. We pray today that the court comes to its senses.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Roe v. Wade has got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Roe v. Wade has got to go! Nice job!
I am a parent, and I've had 2 abortions.
I told you this before.
Abortions that allowed me to become the proud and loving parent I am today.
That's your 10-point award.
Another abortion without hesitation. If I became pregnant and didn't want to be. Because for as long as I can become pregnant,
I'm going to introduce you to 2 more speakers. The next is Gloria Purvis. She stands for racial justice.
when most states, including Arizona, attempted to block access under the guise of abortion being
when I say we must empower women, I want you to say
resulting in delaying appointments and a financial crisis that made having an abortion impossible for many.
Look, after 20
we
years,
know damn well that abortion is essential, and cruel restrictions like the 15-minute Mississippi ban that was argued today only result in harming all of us, including wanted
you want to know why?
At our abortion fund,
abuse,
we work
manipulation, and hostility toward pregnancy or frequent needs. I tell you, we must empower women.
From rural communities, Black,
I have heard and witnessed a variety of situations.
On the bench today, if they uphold this ban, millions more of us in Arizona and across the South and Midwest will suffer the consequences. Abortion is a human right, and we demand unrestricted access to affordable abortion care because every person deserves to have that option. And being here with you today and standing in solidarity with all racial and reproductive justice movements this country gives me the strength to continue fighting this daily uphill battle until we are all free.
The truth is,
we are fighting for our lives and we will not stop. I know that abortion funds and independent providers, people who have abortions and the people who love us will continue to support one another. And we are building toward a future where every person can thrive, where everyone can get the abortion they need, when and how they want, without shame, without fear, and without interference. Thank you.
Let's imagine the law, businesses, educational institutions, the military,
I want to give a special shout out to all our queer and trans people who have abortions. You belong in this movement. You deserve to be heard. And I will fight every day to make sure that your abortion stories are supported, heard, and loved. Transphobia is not welcome in this movement at all. On a lighter note, our next speaker,
Radical feminists take the stance that sex matters. Now, we're accused of being trans exclusive, but we're not trans exclusive. We're male exclusive. We don't have room for men in feminism, in women's bathrooms, in women's shelters, in women's prisons. But if there's trans-identified females, they are welcome. So we're not trans exclusive, and that's a misnomer.
So trans men, is that what you're saying?
Basically, that would be women that identify as men,
but still have their reproductive organs.
Doesn't matter. They're women. Humans can't change sex.
Okay.
So they're always welcome in the fold.
So you're very controversial in the feminist movement.
Very.
Very controversial. How does this feel to you being here?
Well, actually, we're going to come back probably this afternoon
for the women's march.
The women's march is coming, which I think they probably wouldn't be expecting here till after 2.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of great places. We want to support, if they're advocating for abortion rights, we want to support that. But they don't welcome us very much. But there's probably a lot we agree on here.
So this is interesting because I would bet that the majority of this crowd here, the pro-life crowd, would actually 100% agree with you that biology, that gender is not something that is fluid.
I know, that's what's so weird. There's this crossover with conservatism.
Yeah.
And we're always accused of being aligned, conservative aligned. It's a totally...
But you're pro-choice.
Well, radical feminists are from the left.
Sure.
They are not right-leaning whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's just the way that I think people other us and exclude us from... But anyway.
I would love to talk with you more, but I'll let you get back to your group. Is there any way that I can get connected with you? Because the TERF movement in the United States is very unknown. You're the first ones I've seen.
Like, do you have a personal opinion on the matter?
So I'm pro-life as a women's health expert. So I work in the field of women's health care, and so I'm radically...
How can a pro-life movement be a women's movement? I have no problem with it.
Well, for me, it's the issue of fertility awareness and protection of our fertility. You know, that as an issue of bodily autonomy, our young girls are not learning how their bodies work.
No, they are not.
They don't know. Through the rampant suppression of our fertility, abortion has become a necessity for most women because they don't even know how to.
It's a bodily autonomy issue.
100%. So
this whole movement for gender ideology is harming our children.
100%.
Harming them.
There's so much confusion. Yeah, I think you and I probably align very closely on many things.
I know. I'm willing to work with almost anyone on this issue because women and girls are being children in general, but women and girls in particular are really being harmed. And sex matters.
Sex matters.
You can't. You're talking legislation and law.
Oh gosh.
You cannot deny that reality.
And from the healthcare field, it matters tremendously in medical records and honesty. Looking at our medical care for women, you can't take away biological markers to provide healthcare. So in the lactation world, I'm dealing with that a lot.
Good evening, everyone. I am so happy to welcome you to such an important event. There's a bit of an urgent feeling to this because, we have some big news and announcements and things you really need to be aware of in regards to the state of women's health. So again, we're glad that you're taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. So we are gathered tonight because our culture has forgotten the importance of wholeness, of whole womanhood. And we see the evidence of this in so many ways. We know that every woman is created naturally whole and good, but she's been silenced, she's been ignored, and she has been taught to distrust her body. And so this is, again, the perfect opportunity to change the narrative and delivery of women's health and wellness services. So my name is Jamie Rachi. I am the chairwoman of the National Guiding Star Project, and I would like to welcome all of you on behalf of the board. There are 11 board members that span across 7 different states, and I'm so honored to work with such trailblazers, people who are so passionate about this mission. If you would like to learn more about them, please visit the website, theguidingStarProject.com/our-team. So again, my name is Jamie. I founded a Guiding Star Center. So I'm the former director of Guiding Star Cedar Valley in Waterloo, Iowa. I'm a fertility care practitioner, the co-host of the Hormone Genius podcast. So it's probably pretty clear I'm very invested in this mission because I believe this is a part of the solution to a very big problem. And we're going to be digging into that problem a little on later on. So again, welcome to everybody. I want to also just urge you, if you have questions or thoughts or comments as we move throughout the night, please be sure to put those into the chat box. We'll be doing our best to answer your questions. So just don't forget to do that part. But a few things I want to share before we get rolling are just the reasons why I love Guiding Star so much. The reason for it is because I can attest to the shift that I have seen in my own community simply by having a Guiding Star Center in our town. I know that my kids are going to have a different sort of childhood into their teenage years, into their early adulthood, again, simply by having that exposure to Guiding Star, a center that can help form them in their whole person, in their fertility, and in their identity. And it's so relieving that, again, that Guiding Star centers exist. So I love Guiding Star for that the power behind it is so real, and women and men and families deserve to understand that power. So I'm going to give you a little overview of tonight and what to expect. First, you're going to hear from our founder and CEO and author of Holistic Feminism, Leah Jacobson, about the Dobbs versus Jackson case, including exclusive clips from her visit to Washington, D.C. during the Supreme Court arguments. You'll also hear exclusive interviews with national leaders, including Cherilyn Holloway of Pro-Black, Pro-Life, Destiny Herndon de la Rosa of New Wave Feminists, and Gloria Purvis of the Gloria Purvis podcast. And then we'll all be sharing a big announcement from our board of directors, including how to get a free copy of Leah's new book. And then for the most exciting portion, you'll hear from top political and legal experts, Hayden, Steeleman, and Dr. Teresa, Collett from the University of St. Thomas School of Law on exactly what Dobbs versus Jackson means for the future of women's healthcare. And finally, we're really excited to premiere a big secret reveal at the very end. So be sure to stay tuned. So again, if you have questions or comments as the evening continues, please don't be afraid to leave those in the chat box. Again, we'll have people trying to answer as we can. So again, be sure to participate. We would love to hear your feedback. So with that, I'm going to introduce our next speaker, Leah Jacobson. So Leah, again, is the CEO and founder of the National Guiding Star Project. She hails from central Minnesota, and she has been working with young people and mothers since 2000. Leah founded the Guiding Star Project in 2011, after feeling called to help women and families by providing resources that honor natural law and promote holistic feminism. She seeks to create guiding star centers to serve as beacons of hope, joy, and truth, safe havens that uphold human dignity in all stages of life. Leah works as a board-certified lactation consultant, and as a mother to 7 children, she has a special interest in supporting young women as they transition into their roles as new mothers. So with that, let's welcome Leah Jacobson.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Jamie. Welcome everybody tonight to this live webcast event. This actually really is live. So I want to encourage you right up front, if you have any comments or questions that you want to share throughout the event, you may actually see your comment pop up just like there. Hot dogs, yum. Good evening from Iowa. So this is live, this is real. So as the evening goes on, if you have questions or comments, feel free to put them in on whatever platform you're watching this. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, we would love to interact with you. I'm really excited to bring on Dr. Teresa, Collett, and Hayden Steeleman in just a little bit to interview them and hear from actual experts about what this moment in time really means for us. Jamie kind of set the stage for you just a little bit. Thank you so much, Jamie. Helping to, understand kind of what the problem is, that there's women out there that are just not being told, first of all, how good their fertility is, how good their bodies are. But then second of all, they're really not being listened to in the field of women's healthcare very much, so that they really truly feel confident and understand how their bodies work. It's a tremendous problem. We have to acknowledge that the video footage at the beginning that you saw leading into this webcast, if you logged in a little bit early, we just played some of the footage. I just shot video when I was in the crowd last week, and it was tremendously divided. It was a tremendously divisive sort of setting. It was good and beautiful in many ways. Oh, hi there, Deborah. Welcome. I love seeing your comments pop up. It makes me happy to see you guys logged on here live. In some ways, it was good for us to see, kind of the pro women's health movement coming together. There were so many doctors out there represented in front of the Supreme Court wearing their white coats, speaking with their voice of authority about the authentic needs of women and what should be called women's health care in our country. But then almost just as many on the other side. We also saw nurses and scrubs and different people, also speaking in the name of women's health care and also claiming to be women's health care experts, talking about how, this Supreme Court case threatens all women's health care, that women are going to be taken back, in time, decades, and that we're going to be in some way damaged. So I had the opportunity to interview a few people, a few of my dear friends when I was out at the rally, and I asked just some really amazing other women, kind of what their perspectives were on this particular moment in time. And so I want to share just a couple interviews with you, first of all, before we do this interview with Dr. Collett and Hayden. I shot some footage, never before seen, and I'm going to jump over to my friend Gloria Purvis from the Gloria Purvis podcast. Those of you that have followed Gloria or don't, if you know Gloria, she's a powerhouse. You know that she is a tremendous just woman advocating, for women's healthcare around the country, for the Black community. She is just somebody I tremendously admire. And so I had the chance to interview her in the lobby of our hotel that we were staying at. I caught her and I said, Gloria, can I just ask you some questions about this? And so I'm going to shoot over to that footage right now and let you just see what Gloria had to say about this.
Podcast, and Hi, I'm Gloria Purvis. I'm the host of the Gloria Purvis podcast, and I'm also an advocate for human dignity.
And you're here today for what reason?
Well, because I wanted to support the Dobbs case and speak in favor of women's empowerment in front of the Supreme Court and help people try to envision what life would look like after Roe, the kinds of rights that we need to make the choice of choosing life one that is sustainable.
Yeah.
So I do believe Roe is going to end, and I believe we need to build a future where women and their unborn children and human relationships are one that support life, one that where abortion, I think, defiles women, and it severs the relationship of the man from the woman and his unborn daughter. And we need to have the kind of rights that people have a living wage. We need to have rights where there's authentic women's health care that's prenatal, postnatal, postmenopausal. We need to have the kind of attitude, a wholesale rethinking of our society and our economy, where women, whether they are working mothers or not, are fully embraced and welcomed, and that they need to see that having a conducive work environment for pregnant women and mothering women and otherwise is not a concession, but is an essential practice for good business. We need to change our attitudes about what it looks like to have a world that's truly pro-life, that's truly inclusive and welcoming of women and their children.
Oh my gosh, you're amazing. That's perfect. Okay. One more question for you. So the work I do, Guiding Stars Women's Healthcare.
Yes.
Reimagine women's healthcare. You know, Roe Falls. What do we need? Are we ready?
Gosh.
Are we ready?
Not yet. We need every dollar that has ever gone to Planned Parenthood needs to be poured into authentic women's health care. So we have the money. The government has the money now. They've been giving it to the abortion industry. Now we need to give it so that it's authentic, really authentic women's health care. So that would mean natural family planning. That would mean prenatal care, that would mean postnatal care, it would mean postmenopausal care, it would mean, all the ranges of things that women deal with. I think about all the women that also deal with, when they have the endometriosis. Yeah. Endometriosis, to be able to really think about and care about what does it look like if we actually cared about women's health. Actually helping girls understand, young girls, what their bodies go through before their first menstruation. And to change the attitude around menstruation being something dirty and shameful is just something that's female. That's it. And so I think we need to really do a complete revamping of the medical system, our attitudes about medicine, and realizing that a female body that is perfectly functioning is a healthy body. And so everything about us is wonderful and beautiful and good and healthy. And I think we need to do that. We need to have our medical system have that kind of attitude about things that are exclusively female functions.
Oh my gosh. I love you so much. That is exactly perfect. That's perfect. Because that's exactly what we do. That's exactly what Guiding Star is. We open up women's healthcare centers. So fertility care, childbearing, and breastfeeding.
Everything. Yes.
Okay, one last question. So the women out there today, I saw a number of times, abortion is healthcare.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you just like to say to women on that side?
I was like, it's not health care to take a perfectly functioning reproductive system and try to destroy the ends of it, which is a living human being. That's not health care, that's abuse. And so what women need is actual health care. We need actual care for us going through labor, actually care for us before we're even pregnant, care for us as we're pregnant, care for us going through labor, post-labor, and after, and breastfeeding, of course, all of these things. That's authentic women's health care. Health care in no way, shape, or form should ever frustrate the natural outcome of a female reproductive system. And that's exactly what abortion does.
Okay, that's so good. That's so good. Do you have any last talking point? What's the message, your 1 minute message to the world?
My 1 minute message to the world is that women are perfectly fine as we are. Our fertility is not a curse. It is not an obstacle to our flourishing. The societal attitudes are what is the obstacle to our flourishing. And so we need to change our approach to understanding that women, as we are just fine. We are not faux men. We don't need to be like men to have equality. We just need to be embraced fully for our natural gifts and who we are. And I think that would go a long way to solving a lot of the problems and crises we have in the United States. We need to love women, we need to love girls, and we need to let them know that they're loved by the policies, practices, attitudes, and behaviors that we have in our country toward women and girls.
Does anybody else just want to be like, woohoo? I was talking to Gloria, I'm interviewing her, and the whole time I'm just like, woman, you get it, you understand it. And so, Alexis, amen. Thank you, Taylor. Alexis, you mentioned in your comment about holistic feminism. And so that's the book. So those of you that don't know me, I didn't even really introduce myself. I'm sorry. I'm Leah Jacobson. I'm the CEO and the founder of Guiding Star Project. And this is the book that I just wrote. There's my name. This is the book, Holistic Feminism. And that, what Gloria was just like encapsulating there, this idea that our fertility, our childbearing, our breastfeeding, this is not a liability. This is not the problem. That's the problem with women's healthcare that we're seeing. And that was what I was witnessing out on the Supreme Court steps, was just a really different understanding and presumption of what women truly need to flourish and, you know, to have liberty, to have equality, to have good, whole, fulfilled lives. So that was Gloria. So I wanted to start with her because I'm like, bring down the house, Gloria. You're so smart. Another woman that I was able to spend quite a bit of time with when I was there is a beautiful woman, Cherilyn Holloway. And Cherilyn is the founder of an organization called Pro-Black, Pro-Life. And I love Cherilyn's approach to this. As a post-abortive woman, she had 2 abortions. She comes to this from the perspective of having been sold abortion almost as, you know, this right, like this right to access an abortion is, you know, it's paramount to your, Gloria is a queen. I agree with you, Ashley. This right to access abortion, that is, you know, paramount to a Black woman, you know, especially a Black woman's existence in our society. And Cherilyn just really kind of knocks that down. And so I interviewed her as well. We were sitting right actually just off the steps of the Supreme Court when she and I sat down and I interviewed her. So you may hear a little bit of the noise in the background, hopefully not too much, but it was a loud, crazy day. It was on December 1st. All of this footage right now was taken during the actual oral arguments were happening inside the Supreme Court. And we'll talk about what was happening inside the Supreme Court in a little bit when I bring on Dr. Collett and Hayden. But I want to just kind of show you a little bit more about what we were talking about and thinking about outside the Supreme Court. So I'm going to jump over to Cherilyn right now and let her give you her perspective on this.
Good morning, Cherilyn. You're here at the very historic, we're at the Supreme Court this morning at the Capitol. Do you want to just introduce yourself and share why you're here today?
Yeah, I'm Cherilyn Holloway. I'm the founder of Pro-Black, Pro-Life. We merge racial justice with the abortion issue and help Black communities really advocate for racial justice from the womb to the tomb. And I was really here just because I wanted to make sure that I took my place in history, that my kids and grandkids knew where I stood on this issue, but also where I was on this day. Yeah. And so I'm just here to kind of be here, to be present, to look around, to see who else is here, and just be a part of this day.
Well, you know, looking around at the crowd right now, like I'm going to just do a really quick, you know, you can hear there's a lot of speakers going on right here in front of the Supreme Court, a lot of signs, pretty diverse display of the pro-life movement, also a pretty unified display, I think, of the opposition side. You know, what do you think right now of just the state of the pro-life movement, of, you know, where's our movement at and how can we improve?
I mean, I think that we're at a reckoning. I mean, I think that we are realizing that the way things have been done are not as effective as we thought they would be. I think that we are this wide range of diversity in the movement, and realizing that unity is not uniformity, that you can have a multitude of beliefs and ideas and still stand firm on the life issue. And that's really important. So even though I may not link arms with somebody else on some of the other issues, or I may strongly or fundamentally disagree with somebody on the other issue, you know, the life issue is something that we stand strong with. And we really don't have time or energy to fight with our allies.
Yeah.
You know, and so once I think as a movement, we get to that point where we stop pointing the finger, we stop fighting with our allies, then we will be able to, you know, create a place where we can move forward.
So, you know, there's this other march or, you know, rally happening just on the other side of the Supreme Court. Obviously, today is Dobbs versus Jackson's Women's Health Center. So there's obviously people here supporting, you know, the abortion clinic in Mississippi and a woman's right to choose abortion, you know, as they would say. Do you think there's room for us to link arms, you know, there with sisters on the other side, you know, women? Do you think that there's room for us to find that common language? You know, what are your thoughts on that? The women that are here, you know, are they the enemy?
No, the enemy's the enemy. And I think that's something that we always have to keep in mind. There's only one enemy. And I always say this, if someone is truly pro-choice, and that means they're also 50% pro-life. And so I may not argue with you on the abortion issue, but I may ask you why do women come why do women make this choice? And they'll give me a host of, they don't have the money or the resources to have children, they're in school, they got their whole life ahead of them. And then we kind of bring it back to, well, why is this an issue? Like, because that's a stab wound and you're putting a Band-Aid on it. Because that doesn't really change the part that if in 2021, if I want to go to law school and I find myself pregnant the summer before my first year, that I can't go, that's crap. It's 2021. They should have maternity housing. They should have childcare. They should have resources for me to be able to do both. But instead of spending our time fighting for that, you're spending your time fighting for the Band-Aid. And it's a cheap Band-Aid. And so if we, even as women, got together and started fighting for what true equity would mean, that means that we would honor our superpower, which is to give birth, and make that the focal point. We would decide that being a mother is not a curse, it's not a burden, and not everybody's going to make that choice. But at the end of the day, how do we support motherhood as women, as a unit, instead of supporting the Band-Aid, which is right now trying to be more like men?
Yeah. Amen. No, that's totally. So dream with me for a second. What does this world look like where we're no longer slapping Band-Aids on women's fertility and stuff? What does this look like? What does a world that truly loves women, true feminism, look like? What can you imagine?
It looks like housing for women at all stages of their lives. It looks like childcare for women at all stages of their life. It looks like women supporting women. It looks like community. It looks like a village. Looks like support, no more food insecurity, healthcare for everyone, equitable healthcare for everyone. Looks like, justice system justice. It looks like police justice. It looks like an area where we all can thrive, and that we are all on an equitable playing field.
I mean, you sound a lot like the women on the other side. Yeah. So we're not necessarily so different. I mean, it's just this issue of abortion, whether or not that is something that's helping women or like you said, serving as a Band-Aid.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Any last sort of things you'd want to say? What's your 1 minute message to the world?
My 1 minute messages to the world is if you can't be here, if you can't be, if you can't volunteer, if you are, doing other things, but you have the resources to help, Guiding Star Project, Pro Black, Pro Life, any other organization that, your local pregnancy center, whatever it is, use those resources. I know it doesn't seem like, it probably doesn't feel like you're doing anything because it's not, what you would consider as like a massive action, more of a passive action, but you have no idea how much it helps. It helps people like Leah and I get here and to have a presence. And so give whatever it is, 5, 10, 1,000, 10,000, whatever you have in your heart to give, find that organization and give.
Oh man, you're awesome. Thank you so much, Cherilyn.
Okay, the piece that I wanted to just talk about for a second about the conversation I had with Cherilyn, and I spent a lot more time with Cherilyn, which was wonderful. And there were definitely issues that Cherilyn and I differ on a little bit, like in terms of how we think the approach should work, right? But I found that we had so much uniformity and we really agreed with one another on so much of everything. And the comment that she made about linking arms with women on the other side, because a lot of what she was saying was really in line with the women at the other march. So just a little bit of a visual for you to understand how this was set up. On the front steps of the Supreme Court, they had kind of the people, the pro-life side and kind of the pro-choice side, and they had podiums set up, and they were probably only about 20 yards apart. And then there was a buffer zone, and if you watch the video kind of before, we had the video playing of just some of the crowd footage, there was maybe a 10-foot wide buffer zone where security guards were just walking kind of back and forth. But there were PA systems and microphones, and it was incredibly loud, and it was kind of a shouting contest of, whoever was speaking on one side versus the person who was speaking on the other side, to kind of make yourself louder. And Gloria and my next guest both actually, the next video interview I'm going to do, they both actually spoke, and they both actually took the microphone at the podium and were able to speak to the crowds, and they were both tremendous. Gloria actually had a really great chant going on. I loved it. It was something about empower women, support life, I think. And so she just had this really awesome chant going on. It got really loud when Gloria had the microphone, which was amazing. But it seemed so polarizing. And so it seemed just like everyone's trying to out-scream each other. Like there's really no room for conversation here. But yet I think what Cherilyn was saying, and what I feel really strongly, and I think most of the people in our Guiding Star centers also really feel very strongly about, is that the enemy is the enemy. You know, these other women are not our enemies. You know, we have a fundamental difference in belief about what is healthcare for women. But I firmly believe, and I write about this in my book pretty extensively, I firmly believe that what you don't know, you don't know. And so most of these women don't know. They just don't know, you know, how to chart their fertility. Thanks, Deborah. Everyone should read Holistic Feminism. And maybe this is the point to say this. There's a 20% sale. It just went up today. So shameless plug for the book. Head over to lumenpress.org. There's a 20% sale on the book until Christmas Eve. So there's your little plug to buy the book if you have not read the book yet. But I truly believe that these women are not our enemies, even though I did go over to the other side and I kind of had a little bit of conversation with a few women. And I was pom-pommed. I talked about that a little bit on my Facebook live video the next day as I was processing. It was kind of I was processing what happened out there. I got some pom-poms to the face from some women over on the pro-choice side, and I just had smiled. I hadn't done anything. I smiled, and then I asked if I could shoot or if I could take a picture. One of them had a sign. I just said, can I take a picture? And she just pom-pommed me. So that's not the place for conversation. I basically kind of came back, but I do think that in our church groups, in our home settings, back home, places where we naturally and organically form relationship with other women, I think that we can make progress on this. And so with that, I'm going to just jump over to one last interview, and then I will bring on who you are waiting for. I know you're waiting for Dr. Collett and Hayden, and they're brilliant, and I'm really excited to bring them on and talk live with them. But I have one last interview, and this is my friend Destiny. Destiny is the founder of New Way Feminists. It's an organization that she really has walked that crazy line of like being feminist, but being anti-abortion, but saying abortion is not healthcare. I don't accept that as healthcare. And so kind of most notably, she got kicked out of the Women's March a few years back. I think she made some major news networks for that. And so Destiny and I actually spent quite a bit of time together. And this video was shot the day after. This was shot on December 2nd, after we had kind of had a chance to reflect on what had just happened the day before. We walked back over to the Supreme Court to just shoot some video footage. And so I'll let Destiny tell it from her perspective. Just fair warning, Destiny is a purple hair crazy feminist, but I love her. And this is one of those instances where you can probably have friendships that are a little uncomfortable and see something beautiful come out of it. So here's Destiny.
All right. Thanks for talking with me, Destiny. What has this experience been like for you being here?
It has been amazing. It has been amazing. I was really concerned that just with the contention and the fever pitch we're at, that it wasn't going to be fruitful. It was just going to be a bunch of yelling. But it was beautiful and so encouraging. And to see the diversity of what the pro-life movement actually is, like on full display, having this platform, it's been wonderful.
Okay, do you think that there's room to work with women on the other side of this issue right now? How do you think we can start that conversation?
100%. So I think that the powers that be like to keep us divided on this, but if a woman is truly pro-choice and not pro-abortion, then there are other choices involved. And so just funding one of the choices is pro-abortion. And I think challenging them, they challenge us all the time. If you're not just pro-birth, what are you doing at the border? What are you doing in all these other places? And so we've shown up, we've responded to that with action, and we need to do the same thing for them. If you're not just pro-abortion, if you're pro-choice, then what are you doing to actually support women who choose life?
Do you think in the case of women's health care, that there's room for us, prior to even abortion being the issue, do you think there's room for us to work with, people maybe politically on the different side, or?
I don't even think there's just room for it. I think it's a necessity at this point. We are so divided, and women and children are the ones falling through the cracks. So it is 100% something, whether the laws stay or go or change, whatever that looks like, we can start creating life culture right now. And we've worked in other countries where abortion is legal and are illegal, and our work does not change. It's the same thing, because at the end of the day, a woman in a desperate situation, in a crisis with the panic and all that, I've been that woman. I was 16 years old when I got pregnant. Like, it's terrifying, and I wanted to rip my womb off my body and run away from it because it's happening inside of you. And so being the the calm in the midst of that storm is so huge for women. And sometimes it's as simple as, what do you need? Sometimes it's as simple as telling her she can do it, that she's strong enough, she can do it. I know so many post-abortive women who said if one person in my life would have told me I could do this, I would have found a way to do it. And so just being that moral support, being the practical support, financial support, like doing the actual action to back up our beliefs is vitally important. And whether the laws stay or go, the desperation women feel, it's always going to be here when it comes to unplanned pregnancies. And so that is what our call to action is now. The laws are going to make it more of a necessity when it comes to healthcare funding, transportation, childcare, like the things that the moms who call me really need. That is going to become something that is an absolute necessity we have to address when abortion's off the table in certain states. But at the end of the day, why aren't we doing that now? We could be saving lives right now by just putting some action behind our beliefs and our words. And I know the heart of pro-life people. They love women so well. And so now's the time to band together and show them that.
In terms of young women and, kind of the approach that we do at Guiding Star with trying to really prevent a crisis proactively through healthcare, do you think this ruling, does this change the situation at all? Like what we're doing, the work we're doing?
I think the work y'all are doing is so vitally important because there are so many women who maybe aren't necessarily like right in the middle of this fight and don't understand it. And Planned Parenthood's great at marketing. They have a lot of blood money to do it. And so that's where women think they need to go because they think that they're being given the options there and they're not. When it comes to prenatal care, when it comes to pregnancy resources and prenatal care, it is so vitally important that women have access to nonviolent prenatal care. And so it is absolutely, it's a small group that's doing it right now. It needs to be flagships in every state. It needs to be nationwide because I can tell you as a woman myself who doesn't have insurance, it would be, if I didn't know enough about the abortion debate and the science behind life in the womb and all of this stuff, like I probably would have gone to Planned Parenthood because why not? That's where you go for healthcare, right? That's women's healthcare. People who are not so intricately involved do not understand how they are absolutely preying on vulnerable women, how they have a monopoly on preying on vulnerable women, and they don't know what their other options are. And so giving them nonviolent options, I think, is absolutely the wave of the future, and it has to happen.
How do we break that monopoly?
We offer alternatives. I know a lot of people talk about defunding Planned Parenthood, and I understand it, but in my mind, you can't just be against something, you have to be for something. So proactively cutting the legs off from Planned Parenthood by giving them competition, 100% the way to go. And I would say when it comes to donations and where to put your money, Planned Parenthood has a lot of blood money. They say it's 3% of their business, but it's 80% of their revenue. And so that's why we see other life-affirming organizations that are trying to do the work, but because the funding is not there, it's so much more difficult. And it costs a whole lot more to help a woman through 9 months of pregnancy than to take $500 for an abortion. And so that is absolutely, I know a lot of people put their money towards the political side of things, but we have to put it towards actually resourcing women and making sure that they have quality health care. Because here's the thing, your investment is not just in even that woman or that child, it is in the legacy that's going to happen, the generations that are, I get choked up talking about that, but the generations that are going to come from us saving this one baby and helping this one woman, like it is going to be so fruitful. Like there's no greater investment than that. I don't know if I want this on there because now I'm
That was perfect.
It is, but it makes me emotional because you realize what a big deal this is, right? Like it's not just one political issue of our generation. Like this is something that is going to change the future. There's a legit camel right there.
Oh my gosh. There's a camel at the Supreme Court. You're seeing it here first.
I forgot that was on the end there. Yes, Destiny and I actually walked into a live nativity scene. So the day after these oral arguments, so those steps, it was so crazy because 24 hours earlier, that exact location was just covered in screaming people and like signs and, and then the next day at the same time, there was the most beautiful live nativity scene and a camel came out and a donkey came out and a children's choir of angels. And so the Supreme Court's a wild place. It's a totally wild place. Destiny got really choked up there at the end, and then she texted me afterwards. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I cried. I can't believe I cried about that. But it really just is something so pressing. And so I'm not gonna say too much more about this because I don't want to go too long here, and I want to get our guests on here because I've got Dr. Collett and Hayden both waiting to come on here. But I'm gonna bring on somebody else who is behind the scenes right now. One of my board members is helping out tonight with the tech. So Mark Cavaliere, can I bring you up right alongside me here?
I'm here. Yes, I'm
You're here. Wonderful, Mark. Thank you so much for coming on. So we have a couple really big things that we're going to talk about tonight. One is a huge reveal that's coming at the very end after the interview. We got a pretty big reveal. But we also have a pretty big announcement right now that I am going to bump over to you as the board, because I'm going to let the board share a pretty big announcement that we have.
Absolutely. Yes. My pleasure. Thank you, Leah. Okay. So yes, as Leah said, my name is Mark Cavaliere, and it's one of my most esteemed and highest honors to be on the board of director for the Guiding Star Project. And because about 49 years ago, there was 9 men on the Supreme Court who imposed this violence of abortion against women across the nation so that men could objectify and use and abuse women seemingly without consequence, so that typically male abortionists could further exploit and profit off women, and then have the audacity to call it healthcare, when in actuality, what has happened is our culture has essentially vilified motherhood, treating fertility like it's a disease to be suppressed, pregnancy like it's a tumor to be removed, childbirth like it's a liability, even parenting like it's a punishment, and breastfeeding a lot of times is almost become a perversion. So this goes so much deeper than overturning Roe and ending abortion. What we have to do is reinstill in our culture the reverence and the awe and the respect towards motherhood and towards women as really the masterpiece of God's creation, as tabernacles of life. And so that's why I'm very excited and honored to announce on behalf of the board of directors of the Guiding Star Project that, along with several anonymous donors, that we have actually put together, and actually, Leah, I want to make sure I got the number right, because you were on your way to pick up a check. Is it still the same number you told me?
It's 26.
26, okay. Okay. Thank you, Leah. I just want to make sure I had the most current numbers. You were on your way to pick up a check. $26,000 matching challenge that's being announced tonight. What that means is that the board of directors for the Guiding Star Project and these other anonymous donors, we want to invite you to join us tonight to double your impact to revolutionizing the future of women's healthcare in a post-Roe America. Okay, so tonight there's 2 opportunities to do this. I want to quickly mention before we bring on our special guests. But these opportunities, essentially, the first one is going to double your one-time gift tonight. And then the second opportunity is amazing. It's going to actually double your entire monthly membership by joining the Luminary Club for the Guiding Star Project for the year 2022. And both of those are going to be matched. So, and that means the annualized amount of any new membership tonight is like your monthly donation times 12. That's going to be instantly doubled, a full 100% return on investment into helping women discover and embrace this natural dignity. Now, this one-time gift is a perfect opportunity as we come into the end of the year for your year-end 2021 gift. Now, don't do this right away, because I just want to quickly walk you through this opportunity. So for now, if you're joining us live, or if you're later watching the replay or something, you should see on this page those 2 big orange buttons under this video. If you're watching on Facebook, you can click that link in the description, put in your email to access the full page. But on that page, you click that orange one-time gift button. And I'm actually going to pull this up for you on my screen real quick and show you what this looks like. Let me get rid of this banner here. I'm the IT guy here, so I'm multitasking. So on this event page, you should see this one-time gift. And when you click that, you're going to see this opportunity to double your impact tonight. And so you click the Give Now button, you choose whatever gift that God's putting on your heart. Check this extra little box to cover the processing fee as well. Click Continue. You fill in all your information, and then you have the options. If you want to give a check, it has an option for an offline donation. You put in your information, and it'll instruct you where to mail that check. If you prefer to give through PayPal, it'll direct you to your PayPal account, or you can, of course, give with your debit or credit card, and click that Donate Now button. And what that's going to do is I'm not asking you to do anything that I haven't done myself. Just before the call, I jumped on and made my donation towards the event tonight. And you can see here that this is the receipt you're going to get in your email. We did a couple test donations. One of them, I got kind of stuck on this little spinning thing, but the donation still went through. So if you get on that stuck screen, just check your email, make sure you got that receipt. So that's the one-time gift. And when you click on this one-time gift button, there's some numbers that pop up here, and numbers are just numbers, but I really want to make this real for you. So for example, if there's anyone here that God is you're super on fire about this, you get the vision, you're like, yes, this is the solution, right? This is what we've been needing to solve, women's healthcare. And once we get rid of Roe versus Wade, and say you're called to give big, right? What that means is you're 25. You can even do $26,000 as of now, and that entire amount is going to be instantly doubled. This is going to help Guiding Star Project to hire the staff to continue to expand the Guiding Star centers across the nation. If you say you can give $10,000 tonight, that's going to be doubled to $20,000 to create the curriculum to empower women to embrace their natural bodies. If you give $5,000 tonight, that's going to help to establish and grow fertility and infertility resources, so that this is no longer treated. They're no longer taking a healthy system and suppressing it and treating it like a disease. $2,500 is going to be doubled into $5,000, and that's going to help this cycle show, this amazing program the Guiding Star Project is doing to proactively get in and speak to young girls so that they understand their bodies and they're excited and empowered to be growing into women, rather than feeling shame or confusion or fear at that stage in their lives. $1,000 is going to be doubled into $2,000, which is going to help with well woman medical care, where they even have in the Guiding Star Centers in-house child watch, so that a lot of times women who don't get the care that they need because they're caring for their kids, they can take their kids and they know that there's someone going to watch the kids and keep them safe, so they can get the care that they need to continue to be super moms. $500 is going to be doubled into $1,000, and that's going to help the breastfeeding and postpartum support in these incredible centers. $250, that's going to help be doubled into $500 and help provide the ultrasounds for so many women who have been lied to in our culture and are still vulnerable to abortion, so that they have that window into the womb and they see that they're tabernacles for that new life inside of them. Even a gift of $100 is going to be doubled to help provide those pregnancy tests that get so many women in the door to learn all of this truth about the authenticness of being a woman. But I also want to make it very clear, there's a custom amount button on here. There's no amount is too small tonight. Every single dollar adds up and compounds to make a huge impact. On the same note, by the way, no amount is too large. So feel free to max out that $26,000 match and even overflow that a little bit if anyone is feeling so called. So now don't do what I have done too often. You get on these things and you click down the lowest button, $100, or you just kind of give that standard go-to amount. I've done that too much, and I've really learned. I'm a prayerful person, and I've learned to really instead say, you know what, I've been, to whom much is given, much is required, and I have been gifted as a steward of God's resources. And so I now like to say a quick prayer and ask God what He is calling me to do with His money in this opportunity. And if He has put you in your chair watching this tonight, I really believe He's calling all of us to rally behind Guiding Star Project to help them strong into the year 2022. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to say a quick prayer and encourage you to pray along with me in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, we just thank you so much for this opportunity. We thank you for Leah. We thank you for this vision, this extraordinary vision that you put on her heart that has now grown into all of these incredible Guiding Star Centers across the nation. Here in my backyard, right here in El Paso, Texas, we've got an incredible one that's helped so many women, just change so many families' lives and generations, Lord. We thank you for this event tonight, for all of these amazing speakers. We ask you to bless them and everybody that's on this call. And Lord, we just ask you to write in our hearts how you're calling us to respond to this opportunity by writing in our heart that number that you would have us give through our one-time gift tonight, Lord. And we just ask you, we thank you for this opportunity. When we ask that our love for you can be reflected in our support, our sacrificial support, Lord. And we just ask all of this through the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. So if you haven't yet, go ahead and continue through that process. It shouldn't be, you should still be hearing me in the background if that form popped up there in the background. But I also just briefly want to mention that second opportunity that I mentioned, which is better than it's ever been before, which is by joining the Luminary Club. Now, real quick, just consider for a moment, pretend that you only got your annual salary as one lump sum, one time a year, but you didn't even know exactly how much that was going to be, and that you had to budget for the entire year, not knowing, how much that was going to be or when you were going to get it. Okay. That's actually how the Guiding Star Project functions, more or less. Okay. Now, a lot of nonprofits function that way, but the nonprofits that really thrive and grow and continue to see this mission ripple across the country is because of the predictable, reliable, and faithful support of the monthly donors who see beyond the one event tonight that into this long-term vision of what we have to do and all the work it's going to take to undo 49 years of Roe, right, to really establish authentic women's healthcare. We got to be in this for the long game. And so we have Guiding Star Project has the Luminary Club. And so through this Luminary Club membership, you actually you get a lot of perks for being a monthly member. So first of all, you get your beautiful Luminary Club pin. You can see right here, the Guiding Star logo. You get your quarterly Guiding Star member-only magazine. You get early access to a lot of updates and information that nobody else gets. And then you also get invitations to exclusive member-only events, both in person and online. Now, tonight only, you've got an extra perk that normally isn't there. If you click that now Luminary Club button, you'll see that tonight, your monthly pledge, like say you join tonight, for $100 a month. The entire annualized amount of your 2022 membership is going to be annualized. So 100 times 12, that's $1,200, then doubled into an impact of $2,400 for just a commitment of $100 tonight. And then on top of that, the other perk that you're not going to get normally is that you're going to get a free signed copy of Leah's book, Holistic Feminism. Okay, if you have not gotten this book yet, this is your opportunity to do that. That's for any memberships that join tonight with $25 or more. And if you're already a member and you're like, well, what about me? You can actually increase your membership for just $10 and we'll send you a free copy of the book even still. Now, again, I'm going to go ahead and, so at this point, you can, if you haven't yet, you can click that Luminary Club membership button, go through that process, cover the fee so we get your entire gift, and then you fill in all your same information and then hit join now and you'll get your receipt. Now, I did want to quickly show you a couple of the comments from some of the people who have read Leah's book. If you saw them earlier, every woman needs to read the book Holistic Feminism. This is an amazing book that opened my eyes to what true feminism is, taking back the narrative of what it means. Yes, holistic feminism is such an important read for all women, especially in this day and age. It should be included in all women's studies programs. Okay. And your impact is going to be so tremendous, rippling across these Guiding Star centers, which really are taking Leah's vision, and they are the ones who are on the ground enacting this change that God has put in our heart. And you can see here, there's already been people saying, we are so thankful for our Guiding Star centers. We need this. We need Guiding Star centers to grow across the country and become a household name so that just like everybody knows a plan, where's the local Planned Parenthood, everybody needs to be able to go and say, where's your Guiding Star center? And so with that being said, I thank you guys for responding to this, and I'm going to pull Leah back on to the stream at this point, and I'll let you get back on with your program. Were you all good?
Right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing that, Mark. Anybody that knows me knows that I really didn't want to do that. So thank you, Mark, for coming on there. Okay, yes, Martha, we will get that EIN to you. Yes, because you can do a donor advised fund. Absolutely. The other thing that donor advised funds and matching funds from work. A lot of you guys have matching funds from work. We'll get that posted. I don't know, Mark, if you can post the EIN. I don't know. That would be a tech wizard dream come true if you could figure that out. But I have in my waiting room Dr. Teresa, Collett, and Hayden Steeleman. And without further ado, I know that's who everybody's actually here to listen to tonight. So I'm going to bring them on right now. There she is. Professor Teresa Collett and Hayden Steeleman. You guys, welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Okay, Dr. Collett, I've got you on mute right now, and Hayden, you're not muted, but I'm going to let you guys do a really, really quick, short intro. Just tell me where you're coming from and what your job title is, and then we're going to jump into our conversation. Dr. Collett, you first.
Hi, my name is Teresa Collett. I'm a professor at the University of St. Thomas. I direct the Pro-Life Center, which is an unfunded but authorized organization within the university. And I have the privilege of representing Destiny in another case, as well as in front of the Supreme Court. So I was really delighted to see her interview.
Yeah, Destiny is such a fun, she's everywhere. Destiny's everywhere. I love her. She's doing some really good things. So Dr. Collett, you also, you helped write something representing a lot of women. You want to just really quickly kind of share how that
relates? She is one of our pro-life organizations. We represented 240 women academics and scholars, as well as 7 pro-life feminist organizations that included Women Affirming Life, the Siena Symposium at the University of St. Thomas, Women Against Violence, secular feminism, the Secular Pro-Life Organization. We had a number of clients, all of whom said it is utter nonsense that abortion advances women's interest and progress in society.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to jump into this so much in a little bit. I'm going to let Hayden introduce himself so everyone knows why Hayden is here. And then we're going to start talking about this case, Dobbs versus Jackson. So Hayden, welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Leah. So I'm Hayden Steeleman. I am the Strategic Partnerships and Congressional Liaison for the American Association of Pro-Life OBGYNs. And I actually got to help lead the medical coalition at Dobbs and was on the steps of the Supreme Court that morning as well. With the team of 80 to 85 physicians that joined that movement in white coats. And like I said, I handle the congressional sides at state and national level for AppLog. And I am also part of the team at PESH, who runs the communications programs for nonprofits across the U.S.
And we've been blessed to work with PESH this last year with launching my book and getting it out there a little bit. And you've helped us just really understand the landscape. You've helped us really understand the landscape of politically how women's healthcare in our country is being presented, which has been really, really eye-opening for me to have those conversations with you. Okay, Dr. Collett, I'm going to jump this first kind of question over to you. As a legal expert, can you help just for the average person that is logging in tonight to understand what this case is actually deciding? Dobbs versus Jackson. What is the primary question that has been taken up by the Supreme Court, and just help people understand who's Dobbs?
Sure. And before I do that, I'm going to take the lawyer's privilege of saying, Hayden, I have never been so encouraged as walking through that column of white-coated doctors who supported the reality of what medical abortion and what surgical abortion is. And it was so awesome. And thank you to you and Donna Harrison and all the doctors that are at APLOG. Okay, yeah, done with that. Now,
yeah, I'm happy to introduce you to one another. Actually, I think this is the first time, Hayden. Have you guys met before? Is this your first time meeting?
We have not.
We have not met, no.
Oh, this needed to happen. Everyone saw it here first. You guys.
I'm a huge fan of APLOG. They are amazing doctors and very careful researchers, and so I'm a total fan. But Dobbs versus the abortion clinic in Mississippi is really, there's a narrow interpretation and a broad interpretation. So if you read the New York Times, you think the end of days is coming. And from our perspective, thanks be to God, Roe and Casey are going to fall. If you read more conservative publications, you'll recognize what's really at issue is Dobbs has at one level a very modest law. The Mississippi legislature has enacted what they call a heartbeat bill, but what they really require is that abortions cannot occur after 15 weeks of gestation. Now, that's more than 3 months, almost 4 months. And the vast majority of abortions in Minnesota are performed there. And so, in its narrow interpretation, what's really at issue is, can we protect babies before they achieve full viability, which most neonatologists set at 22 weeks. I know there's been a baby that survived at 21 weeks, but most neonatologists, and I think Hayden will affirm that for me, it's at 22 weeks now. And so that's really the question. Can we protect babies before that point? It's not a radical departure, as Chief Justice Roberts noted. It's consistent with European nations, and it's a very modest case. Now, I, having been a pro-life lawyer for decades, literally, and Leah and probably Hayden as well, although you both were probably children when I started litigating, but nonetheless, the fact is, what we really want to see is Roe versus Wade, a judicially created right to abortion, abolished. There's no basis in the text of the Constitution, in the history of the country, in the tradition of the people. And it's quite clear, as then Justice Rehnquist noted, every state at the passage of the 14th Amendment almost said abortion is illegal. There is no basis for this right. Having said that, especially given today's opinion in the Texas case, we know that Chief Justice Roberts is going to be much more cautious. But what's really at stake is, can the states exercise their historical authority under our constitutional system to regulate public health? And frankly, in some states like Mississippi and Idaho, it's in North Dakota and South Dakota, Can they actually protect unborn children from the moment that they are conceived? Or are we going to be left with this one size fits all where there's no basis in the Constitution?
So here, break this down just a little bit more, Dr. Collett. What happens theoretically if Roe falls? Is abortion now illegal across the country? Like, just help us understand, because I don't think a lot of people understand that this has become a federal and not a state issue.
Well, the reality is I'm in Minnesota, as are you, and many of your viewers, and there's not going to be anything that happens. I'm litigating in the state of New York right now on behalf of victims of domestic violence who say that their decriminalization of the killing of a viable unborn child has actually encouraged more domestic violence. Nothing's going to happen in New York. The states that think abortion is the right answer to women's needs are not going to change, especially if it's based on state constitution like Minnesota, California, Florida. Having said that, the states that have actually recognized authentic women needs, authentic needs for family, like Oklahoma, Texas, North Dakota, South Dakota, Idaho, those states now, if we prevail, will have the opportunity to actually protect unborn children and their mothers from the moment of conception.
Do either of you know the number? I'm trying to remember. What is the number of states currently that have some sort of legislation in place? It's roughly half. Is it 24, 20, some, do we know?
I know a majority of Americans live in states. I can't tell you the number of states, but I can tell you based on population, a majority of states will continue to have relatively unrestricted abortion, notwithstanding what the National Abortion Federation and Guttmacher and Planned Parenthood say. But other states will actually afford significant protection, like Texas.
Mm-hmm. So Hayden, I don't know if you have anything you want to comment on that there. Oh, we do have a question come in here. So the legal pro-life argument is the legal pro-life argument in the courts from a constitutional, more effective, I can't read tonight, from a constitutional basis standpoint or a natural law, is it a standpoint? Is the legal pro-life argument more effective in the courts from a constitutional basis or a natural law, natural rights standpoint? Do you have an answer? Do you have a thought on that?
Sure. Taylor, I appreciate where your question's coming from. And Professors Robert George and John Finnis filed a brilliant brief in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Center, arguing the natural law perspective in part, not exclusively. But in fact, around the 1920s, 1930s, the U.S. Supreme Court moved away from a natural law perspective. And so they really are looking at what is the text of the Constitution, what is the history of the Constitution in relationship to this particular issue, and what is the tradition of the court in looking at this. And so when some pro-lifers say, well, I don't believe anything that's not in the text. Well, actually we do. We absolutely believe in parents' right to direct the upbringing of their children. We are completely on board with Pierce versus Society of Sisters and a couple of other of those cases, right?
Sure.
But that was recognized in the common law and was recognized throughout American history. Abortion is a judicial creation in 1973 by Justice Blackmun, who wrote his opinion in the Mayo Medical Library.
Sure. So let's jump over to the medical part of this, because Hayden, you're here kind of representing the doctors, the doctors that were at the Supreme Court. Let's imagine, and we don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. So we'll get this decision in roughly June. We're expecting the decision in June. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's imagine for just a second that Roe is gone and it's back to the states. It's been lobbied back to the states. Now we have physicians, in every other state with abortion legal, illegal. What are the doctors saying, like, how is this going to set up healthcare in our country? Like, any thoughts from you on just what the doctors are saying right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll just start off with this, going off of the Supreme Court decision and kind of the politics there. I think people forget even Justice Ginsburg, who is quoted all the time by the other side of this movement, said that the Roe decision was breathtaking in scope and wondered if more measured motions would have been appropriate for that decision. So just something to remind everyone, this idea that Roe is too large of a piece of policy really now was even questioned by the icon of the left, RBG. Getting back to the states, exactly what was said earlier. This will become a state decision. It will go back into the hands of these different state leaders, and also the idea here is also state voters. So these individuals in these states will be able to decide based on who they elect, and governor, different judicial appointees or judicial elections will be able to decide exactly where they want to steer this policy in their state. So that's kind of where we're seeing the decision coming, or the decision going, just based on what we've seen from different legal scholars, judicial review. For the medical side, so right now physicians are protected somewhat. They were much more protected before the current administration, are protected somewhat by conscious protections for physicians that do not believe in performing these procedures. So those have been under attack, as you can imagine, in an incredible way through the past year or so. That there's definitely a concern that there's going to be policies from HHS and other agencies that take away those protections for physicians to not take part in these procedures that they disagree with. And we also see the same concerns coming out of medical schools, with residents, with interns, medical students who do not believe in performing these procedures, but still feel the pressure that comes from your attending or maybe even your university, that says if you do not perform these procedures, you cannot become a licensed OBGYN or a licensed physician. One point that AppLog always likes to go to with this is that an overwhelming majority of OBGYNs do not even perform these procedures. It's more than 90% don't perform abortions at any stage of pregnancy as part of their healthcare practice. So with this decision, there will be a split of states that ban the procedure outright. There'll be states that keep the procedure on the books. Like Professor Collett was saying, California is definitely going to be one of those states. New York is almost certainly going to be one of those states. But physicians rely on these conscious protections to be able to practice how they see fit and to practice according to their own moral compass, and also what they see as their professional direction. And a lot of that comes down to, the Hippocratic principles. There's a new group that was formed by all those physicians you saw at the Supreme Court, where they're coalescing into a group called the Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine, that all practice along these principles. So there's pediatricians involved there. There's the Christian Medical and Dental Association, and then, of course, AppLog and some others in there as well. So a lot of this still boils down to conscious protections, but like I said, it's going to be, policy-wise, it's becoming a state issue. Or it looks like, if the decision goes in the way of overturning Roe, it would become a state issue instead of a national piece of policy.
Well, here, really quick then, I just kind of want to hear from each of you. We kind of know that the court has changed in its makeup in the past, couple of years here. Conservative, liberal, whatever you want to call these different judges. Either of you have a prediction? I'd love to hear, I've heard a lot of people say, well, we have a 6-3 majority, we have a 5-4 majority. I mean, is there anything that we can, speculate? any opinions? And totally just an opinion. Anything that you'd venture to say at this point, or is this just sort of we'll see what happens?
I personally am by no means a lawyer, and also by no means a physician. So Professor Collett, I will let you have this one.
Smart.
Well, your viewers, and this is why it's so important to contribute to organizations like Guiding Star. The reality is that while you will read the hysteria in the New York Times, the hysteria in my local paper, the Minneapolis Star Tribune, the hysteria in a number of liberal or mainstream media outlets that, oh, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. The reality is that we know with confidence that we have the support of Justice Alito, Justice Thomas, and I was delighted to hear the questions of Justice Kavanaugh during the oral argument. So we know we have those three. Justice Gorsuch clearly seems to be leaning our way that abortion is just not an issue that the U.S. Supreme Court should have taken on, that there's no text, there's no history, there's no tradition, and that it should be a state's issue to regulate as they see fit. Justice Barrett, who I had the privilege of teaching one semester at Notre Dame, and I have deep respect for, her questions were less clear on where she's leaning. She did recognize that we have the safe haven laws or the baby Moses laws, where this whole idea that, oh my gosh, I've got a child for the rest of my life is simply not realistic. Women who reach, in Mississippi's case, 15 weeks, who continue their pregnancy can leave the child with the hospital, and that child can be placed in an adoptive family. I will, Leah, just as a side note, tell you I am appalled at how much demonization of adoption is done by the other side. But notwithstanding that, so Justice Barrett is a little less clear about where she stands on this. And Chief Justice Roberts today joined the liberal wing of the court, Justice Kagan, Justice Sotomayor, Justice Breyer, to argue that the Texas law should be completely, subject to evaluation by the Supreme Court, notwithstanding that it violates all sorts of things. So what is my prediction? If I'm optimistic, we're going to have a 6-3 opinion. If I'm realistic, I fear we're going to have a 4-2-3 opinion. We could have a 5-1 opinion, but remember, we thought we were going to win in Planned Parenthood versus Casey, and right after oral argument, we had Justice Kennedy, and then Justice O'Connor visited him, and we ended up with a very different opinion. So I think your viewers need to be really clear that this fight isn't over, and even if we win with 6-3, this fight is going to go to the state level. And things like Guiding Star that provide women the opportunity to flourish as they carry their child to term and become mothers, or choose to place their child in adoption, which is a loving and wonderful option. All of those things are going to be critical to saving the life of these children.
No, thank you for giving me that prediction. And I have to tell you, I have your, I've got your Hershey's with almonds here. I asked her if she would come on, and she said, only if you get me Hershey's with almonds. So I've got them here for you. I will get these to you. Hayden, you didn't ask for anything. So.
I'm pretty easy.
You need to negotiate a little harder, Hayden. So thank you.
Yeah. Well,
do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I was going to add to what Professor Collett was saying. We're seeing too on the national level, we're seeing attempts with policy to codify the protection from Roe. Yeah, there was a bill that just went through that still might be stuck in committee somewhere, the Women's Health Protection Act, which gets reintroduced every Congress and they constantly try to push this forward. But we saw a very renewed commitment to getting that across the finish line this time. We saw a lot more push than what was seen in some previous congressional sessions. So it's, bills like that that kind of push to codify is going to continue to happen. And also, regardless of how this goes, there is going to be an increased importance to pregnancy care centers across the country. I mean, if this does go to a state-by-state basis, the importance of these centers, if we shift from managing pregnancies through the Planned Parenthood method to managing pregnancies for the woman, the importance of pregnancy care centers is going to be paramount in those states. So I just want to make that clear too. It's this fight is going to keep going on, but it's just going to where the importance lies as far as care for women is going to fundamentally change if the decision goes that direction.
Yeah, if I could just interrupt for 1 second, I actually had the privilege of testifying in front of the House committee on the Women's Health Protection Act, and Hayden could not be more right. It's not Roe, it's Roe on steroids. Every law in the country, including parental involvement laws, including post-viability abortion bans, which of course we don't have in Minnesota, but nonetheless, every law that the vast majority of the public support will be struck down if that piece of legislation passes. It is in the Senate right now. The House passed it, unsurprisingly, but I am hopeful that we will be able to stop it in the Senate. But there is no question that Hayden's right.
Yeah, and I think that's so important for us to recognize, like, you pin all your hopes on something like Dobbs, like, oh, this is the one, this is going to overturn Roe. And it's like, well, what's fundamentally wrong here is we just have a really broken view of healthcare. And so I was listening to the oral arguments after the fact. I had to record, I listened to the recording because I was on the steps hearing all the screaming. So I didn't get to hear it live when it was happening. But when I went back and listened, I think it was Rickelman, I believe, is the woman that was arguing, the respondent. I think that's what it's called. The respondent. Is that the correct term?
Yes.
And when I was understanding what I kept hearing, I was just yelling at my phone, like, as I'm listening to it. I was like, what? No, because there was almost like this presupposed, like this assumption that family planning equates with abortion, and that there is no way that a woman could possibly plan her family without abortion. And that argument, she was saying that, there's a dependency upon it. And so I think that until we really address that really core sickness in our culture, where we really think that women are incapable, and that men are also incapable of working with women's fertility and understanding it, until we have a shift in just our understanding of women's health care, we're going to keep running up against this over and over and over again. Over and over again, it's going to be in different forms of abortion equates to health care. So I appreciate, Hayden, that you actually brought that up, because I think it's just a prime example of this. Okay, so I just want to ask you guys, that was a piece that when I heard the oral arguments, that just kept, that moment where you're screaming at the TV like it's a football game and you're like, no! Every time they mentioned dependency for family planning, I just felt so like interiorly angry. Was there anything that you guys, any points, highlights really of, either side that you just want to just comment on really quickly here before we kind of start wrapping up?
I was delighted that the Solicitor General of Mississippi, in part through the influence of the female Attorney General of Mississippi, really emphasized the fact that women don't need abortion for equality. That is the nonsensical, unsubstantiated claim that three of the justices made in Planned Parenthood versus Casey. And what is so remarkable is that their authority for this idea that women have to have abortion in order to fully participate in American society was based on a misreading of a book by a Marxist feminist professor who actually said quite the opposite. She said that abortion is the result of women's advancement. Now, I'm sorry, Ireland had its first national leader that was a woman at a time when abortion wasn't legal, so as did Israel. So I'm a little confused about this order, frankly. But the simple fact is that women don't need abortion to advance their position in society. Mm-hmm. Women are perfectly capable of doing so through their own grit, their determination, their intelligence, and their gifts. And frankly, that's what the women's brief that we filed in the U.S. Supreme Court establishes. In fact, abortion has probably retarded that because it gives the marketplace, industry, and the public square. The excuse of, oh, well, you're going to be out pregnant or you're going to be nurturing small children, so you can't possibly fulfill your job. Just like we saw Nike taking women runners out of their Olympic competitions. It's absolutely obscene.
100%. And I there was that moment when I was listening, I think it was Amy Coney Barrett Mead. She kind of asked her to clarify that. She said something about that. She said, are you saying that women's equality is dependent upon the right to abortion? And I was just thinking, like, she's sitting there going, I'm right here. Like, I have all these children and I'm a Supreme Court justice. Like, do you see me? Hello. I just love that moment. Hayden, any last kind of just thoughts? What struck you in listening to the arguments at all? Anything that you just kind of want to leave people with a thought?
Yeah, so my point doesn't come from the arguments themselves, but on some things that I heard and saw right outside of the court. So there was definitely a focus on from the opposition side as to, if this case does not go our way, we still have these other avenues. And, you hear the talks on the medication abortion side, the mifepreg side, the abortion by mail. And so it looks like, since this could go to a state by state battle and the USPS runs in every state, it looks like that could be the next fundamental issue that comes up on this. And it's just a very eye-opening thing for me to see. We work through these issues in the policy side, and that looks like it's going to be the next policy center for this debate and for this issue. And it's going to be the safety of women trying to do these procedures in their own home, and acquiring these medications that are found to be pretty dangerous, and induce some pretty significant side effects from their home, and most of the time in secrecy from the people that even they may be living with.
As soon as you said that, I just had to say, this feels very full circle. I'm super fascinated always with the history of feminism and the women's movement, and this. Roughly 100 years ago, Margaret Sanger, she first went to jail for violation of Comstock laws, which the Comstock laws were the distribution through the postal system of obscene materials. And so it's like, wow, it's almost like this full circle of like the postal system is the avenue of evil. No, but I agree with you. That was very troubling actually to see out front, the women with the banner that said abortion. It said, I'm taking the abortion pill. And it was women taking abortion pills on the steps of the Supreme Court because they were trying to show these are really safe. They weren't even pregnant. It was women who were not pregnant, and they were showing these pills are so safe. I can take them right now and it's not going to cause me any harm. And I was just thinking, yeah, if you were pregnant though, your chances for complications and really serious problems would be greatly increased. And so to just downplay that and to downplay the role of our physicians to say, take these very dangerous drugs at home, it was very concerning. I agree with you.
Yeah, and I would invite your viewers and your people just to stay up to date on what's moving through the FDA with that. There's decisions coming down all the time, mostly under the radar, and it's something to pay attention to. It's something to be familiar with and really understand exactly what direction that part of this is going in.
Yeah, no, I absolutely appreciate that. You guys, I can't thank you enough for spending your time with us here tonight. I have to make one really big reveal, so I got to get going here because I'm pretty much out of time, but I can't thank you enough for sharing your comments. You guys are both just experts, and we so appreciate it. And I will absolutely get your Hershey's with almonds to Dr. Collett. And Hayden, I've got something special for you too. I'll send it. Okay, but thank you guys. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you. All right. So this is the part that I have been really excited about all night. So I don't know if you realized, as those of you that ever see me do live streams, you probably know I'm not in my normal office space right now. I'm not at home. I'm in a very different space. And this is my big reveal that I want to share with you. Oh yeah, thank you. That was so informative, wasn't it? They're truly experts. They're amazing. I am going to span out here just a little bit, and I'm going to show you. You can see I was just in this kind of, room. It's kind of quiet, this little room. But where I am at right now, I am actually in the brand new 10,000 square foot Guiding Star Wakota Center in West St. Paul, Minnesota. I had to come down here and do this for you live from the new building. I'm going to just kind of walk here just a little bit so you can see where I'm at. I'm actually walking backwards. This is great. It's pretty dark and quiet here right now because tomorrow they're preparing. You can see this beautiful area. There's a beautiful waiting room right there. That's an office. This long hallway that goes down behind me a little bit. That's the doctor's space. But I'm going to just take you on a really quick tour of this building. Let me see if the light will pop on here. This is a conference room here. This is a 10,000 square foot Guiding Star Women's Health Super Center. This is what we're talking about, you guys. When we talk about what women deserve for women's health care, this is it. We're talking about that we need to be ready in a post-Roe world to have beautiful women's healthcare facilities available. This is what it looks like, you guys. Like, I'm walking down the hallway. Check out this lab. Isn't this just beautiful? The building is brand new. They're moving in right now. You're going to see as I walk through, some of these rooms are furnished. Some of them are still kind of empty. We've got exam rooms that are ready to be filled. We've got break rooms for staff and employees. You guys, this building is beautiful and it's amazing. And I'm going to just show you a couple of these office spaces that are up here. We've got, isn't this beautiful? And the exciting part for National Guiding Star Project is that we are moving into this building in West St. Paul for our national office is being located with one of our Guiding Star centers that is providing amazing care for women, medical care. I'm still walking just through the upstairs of this. You guys, and it is so pretty. I wish my bathroom was this pretty. It's beautiful. I'm just going through the upstairs. This is where all the medical space is going to be in this building. I haven't even gotten downstairs yet. Like, it's just amazing. Okay, I'm going to go down the steps. And you guys are going to love seeing this. Stick with me. Stick with me. This building is the coolest. So anybody that's local, hi Mark, you're back. Do you want to talk?
Well, I was just going to say, while you're walking, I just want to give an update and I wanted to thank Martha and David and Alyssa and Krista and everyone who, just in the few minutes since we announced it, has already given $3,000 towards the matching fund. That's been doubled to $6,000. That's just here tonight, just in the few minutes since we announced it. That's going to be making buildings like this, these amazing, beautiful centers possible that you're in, to expand these across the nation. That means that there's still $23,000 left that needs to be matched before the end of the year. So continue to spread the word, share this link, the replay, the emails you're going to get in the following days. But I just want to thank all those people, because this is what they're making real, is what we're looking at tonight.
Yes, this is actually literally what you're making real. Like, look at this. Like, you come in. Okay, I wonder if I can turn my camera around. I'm just going to turn my camera around so you don't have to look at me right now. I'm going to see if I can do it this way. I don't know what I'm going to be showing you, though, but I am going to show you somebody really special, because I'm going to find her. There she is. That right there, hiding in the corner by this beautiful, Guiding Star Wakota sign, is the board chair of Guiding Star Wakota, Renee Skidmore. Thank you so much, Renee. Do you want to just invite them to come tomorrow? What do you got going on here tomorrow?
Absolutely. We've got our grand opening tomorrow. Don't let the snow keep you away. It's a warm and very welcoming space, and we really hope that you'll join us.
It is a beautiful space.
It's from 10 to 2.
10 a.m. Okay, so I'm going to walk. Now I'm down on the first floor, and this is just like a waiting. This is just a lobby. This is just an entrance area. I got to show you. We've got some really cute rooms right here. The lights got to come on, though. Here is the boutique. I mean, so this is where mamas can come to get some beautiful, mama clothes for pregnant mamas, but we've also got, maternity stuff here. We got baby stuff here. Beautiful boutique. This center gives out a lot of diapers. This center gives out a lot of support for women. Brand new to this center, and this is something that every Guiding Star center has. It is so precious and so vital. The child watch. So a child watch is essential to every Guiding Star center. Whoa, where am I? It's one of our core services that we provide in every Guiding Star center. And look at this cute, sweet child watch that they have here at Wakota. So moms can come in and they can get the care that they need. They can go visit the breastfeeding room. They can, go see whoever they need. I'm in tears too. I know, I'm here. It's so beautiful. So a lot of these rooms are still being filled and being staged. I got to show you the break room. You guys, who doesn't want to work here? Whoops, here we go. Check this break room. Staff break room. It's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. I'm coming up into the front lobby area now, and the Christmas tree is set up for tomorrow. Santa is going to be here tomorrow. There you go, 10 to 2 at Guiding Star Wakota. Thank you so much, Jamie. That was perfect timing on that comment. Come check it out. Santa's going to be here You know, just getting the offices all filled in. I have to show you one of my favorite things. Coloring books for the kids. Okay, so here's one of the conference rooms. They're beautiful, but I have to show you one of my favorite things about this whole thing. Check out the floor tile in this room. Is that not the coolest? Does it look like anything you've ever seen before? They found tile that matched our logo. I was so thrilled. We're going to get that tile in every single Guiding Star Center because it's just the coolest. I'm going to just take a walk down the very last hallway. I have still been walking through this whole building. It's 10,000 square feet. It's huge. This is one of my favorite spaces because we've got the lactation, the breastfeeding room. So every mama, we want to encourage her to come and to breastfeed in this beautiful space. And I'm just wrapping kind of up going through here. We got another lab down here on the first floor for you know, pregnancy tests and all. And then right across the hall, there's Renee. There she is. Caught her. This is going to be the ultrasound room. So we just got to move the ultrasound over. They have been operating in a temporary building across. That's going to be my house remodel. Yeah, it should be your house remodel. It's beautiful. This is that back entryway that we came in with that really beautiful. No, this is not that back entryway. Now I'm lost. Now I don't even know where I'm at. Okay, I'm going to end this though with one final view for you. Oh yes, yes. This is the chapel. So this is a place for women to come in and have some time to really nurture their spirit and to connect with God when they're here. So that's the chapel at the Guiding Star Center. Then I am just going to end this webcast and sign off here in just a second. Thank you for all of you who have stayed with me for the last hour and 25 minutes. Thank you so much. You've been incredibly generous with your time. I'm going to just take you right outside here for just a second because you've got to see this building. And I'm telling you, this is an interesting night in Minnesota. We are in a blizzard. So if you are someplace warm, you're lucky because I'm about to walk out the door into a blizzard. So here we go. Oh my gosh. It is snowing. I'm walking through very, very, very deep snow. These are the steps. You cannot even see the steps right now. Look what I just walked through. This is Guiding Star Lakota on Robert Street in West St. Paul, Minnesota. Here we are outside our beautiful new building. We really hope that you will come and join us tomorrow for the grand opening, ribbon cutting, 10 o'clock. Santa's going to be here 10 to 2. It's really a blizzard here, you guys. This is the street. You can't even see it. I'm fighting my way through the unplowed sidewalks back into the building because I'm freezing. God bless all of you. Thank you to everyone who has already given to support us. You guys, this is what it looks like. This is what the future of women's healthcare in our country looks like. We have a tremendous opportunity in front of us. And I just hope that you'll join us as we continue to grow Guiding Star Centers, beautiful places like this all across the country. Your community deserves a Guiding Star Center. Every community deserves a Guiding Star Center. And every woman deserves to know that she was made good and whole. So thank you guys so much. God bless you. And we'll be in touch. All right. God bless. Have a great night.